Hi guys, my name is Dr. Arohi Manyar and today we are going to study about periodontics. So in periodontics we are taking up a topic known as modified Widman flap. It is a topic from surgeries. So here in modified Widman flap we will just see about how to perform the surgery, not about its indications and contraindication that you can definitely study from your textbooks. So modified Widman flap is an unrepositional mucoperiosteal flap. So in this flap surgery we do not reposition the flap anywhere, we attach the flap at the same level. So the advantages, the three major advantages here are it provides us with adequate access for instrumentation for our scaling, root planing. The second is it helps to attach or adapt our tissues in a very intimate contact with the tooth structure, and the third is immediate post operative closure of the flaps can be achieved here. So these are the three main advantages of our modified Widman flap. Here I have diagrammatic representation of all the steps that we perform in this surgery. So the first incision that we give in our modified Widman flap is our internal bevel incision. So to understand this, first we will look about with our diagram. This is my tooth, this is one of the anterior tooth. This black line on the outside is my gingiva and this black line on the inside with the small holes is my bone. So the first internal bevel incision, the first incision will be given with a Bard-Parker blade number 15 and it will be given 0.5 to 1 mm away from the free marginal gingiva. So this is my free marginal gingiva. So 0.5 to 1 mm away from the gingiva, we will give a beveled incision. Bevel means an inclined thing. So we will give a inclined incision up to the crest of our bone. So this is my sectional view of the tooth and this is the occlusal view. So these are multiple different teeth here, and here the black center dot area is my pulp, the other black is my lining. This black lining will represent this internal lining of our gingiva, whereas this red dotted lining is the lining that we give at our internal bevel incision. So this is the diagram. If you sit and closely look at this diagram, you might be able to understand what I am trying to say. The two main things that we need to take care in our internal bevel incision, first is that we need to preserve our papillary thickness, and the second is the scalloping of the marginal gingiva needs to be followed. So if these are our incisors and this is my canine, so I have to follow the scalloping, this. The scalloping should be followed. I cannot give my incisions like this, okay. So this is my all about our internal bevel incision. The second incision will be given, so this diagram is just the continuation of this diagram. So the second incision will be my clavicular incision. Clavicular incision itself means circular incision. So this incision will be given in the sulcus. So from the base of the sulcus, this incision will travel up to the crest of the bone, okay. So this double red line is my first incision, and where the tissues are retracted apart. The second incision will be from the sulcus towards the crest of the bone. This is given with a number 12 blade. So this number 12 blade is a beak shaped kind of a blade, something like this, which will help us to adapt or achieve this kind of an incision. So then moving on further, this is again the occlusal view. So here we just had our this tissues were here, the tissue was placed here. In this one we have the black line, this black line is from the crest of the marginal gingiva. Here again we have our crest of the marginal gingiva, but we have an incision here. So I have a red outline. So this red outline will show us between these two incisions what we have. So this whole unit, this much portion is depicted by the red line here, okay. So this is the occlusal view. Moving on further to the third incision and the most important, that is our interdental incision, okay. We started with internal bevel, which was from the external surface, then we moved on to the clavicular incision, which was on the internal surface, and third we have to separate these two tissues, we have to pull this apart. So we need to give a horizontal incision, which is our interdental incision. So this incision, as you can see in the diagram, it goes at a perpendicular level to the crest of the bone, just so that we can remove this much amount of tissue. This interdental incision is given with an Orban's knife, and here the gingival collar, this much portion is known as the gingival collar. So this gingival collar is removed, okay. And similarly here the continuation of this diagram is here. Once we remove this red portion between these two red lines, once we remove this much portion, we are missing out the red line here and we are opening, reflecting the flaps. So this is the kind of picture or a diagram that we might get in our patient while doing this modified Widman's flap. The majority of the part of the surgery is over. Now what we have to do once our flaps are reflected? So first we have to go with our removal of tissue tags and our granulation tissue. So once the flaps are separated, any tissue tags on the flap needs to be curated, needs to be removed along with the granulation tissue. Then we have to gotten our access on our root surface. So on the root surface we need to do thorough scaling and root planing. After that, the residual PDL fibers, that is our periodontal ligament fibers, need to be unharmed. We cannot destroy or damage these fibers, because these are the fibers which will help us to reattach our flaps at the same position. Then again, moving on further, what about the bone architecture? Once we reflect the flap and expose the bone, we cannot damage or destroy our bone. Okay, so we need to close our facial and our lingual interproximal tissues. So the flaps that were open facial and lingually, we have to close it, and to close it we can also thin out our flaps so that our bone architecture is not damaged. Last but not the least, we have to suture these flaps. Once we have reflected the flap, we need to suture it up, and for these flap surgery we need to have our continuous or independent sling sutures. The most important thing to be remembered in this modified Widman flap surgery is that we do not eliminate the depth of the pocket. The depth and the pocket level is still there, it's still the same. The only thing that we achieve with this kind of flap surgery is that we reduce the pocket lining. So here in this diagram, the depth of the pocket is still there. Here the depth is still there. We have the depth in every diagram, but what we are able to remove is the granulation tissue. This tissue which harms or which has increased the depth of the pocket, this bad tissue we are able to remove that tissue. So that is all about our modified Widman surgery, that we just eliminate the pocket lining and not the pocket itself. So that's all about our modified Widman's flap. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, I hope you like this video. Please hit the bell icon and subscribe to my channel for the upcoming notifications. Also, don't forget to comment in the comment section below about the topics that you want me to discuss later on. And to get in direct touch with me, you can also DM me on my Instagram ID, which I'll be putting in the description box below. Thanks for watching.